Rise and Shine on Australia's Vision Christian Radio.
You're on Rise and Shine with Matt and Phil all across Australia. And joining us on the line is my good buddy Mark Matthews. He's part of Empowering Faith Communities and has a great community in Rosebud in Victoria, where he's doing a lot of great work with people doing it tough. Welcome along, Mark. Tell us a bit about your ministry you're a part of. What do you guys do, mate?
Oh, thank you so much, Matt and Phil. It's great to be with you today. So I am leading up what is essentially a national ministry called Empowered Faith Communities, working through the Crossway Baptist Church in Melbourne. So I've got this sort of national role in that space where through Crossway we're working with 50 churches around Australia who are interested in how to make connections, meaningful connections with people that are doing life tough, people experiencing homelessness, people struggling with life issues that impact their ability to feel confident about themselves, working with churches, with people in that context to build faith communities with people on the margins who might not feel that they could fit within the mainstream Christian church community. I'm leading a church in my local area, a township called Rosebud, which is an interesting area. It's a place of significant retired superannuated wealth, but it's also home to significant intergenerational poverty, and we've created a church for those people living in poverty who might think that a middle-class church might not be their first starting point into Christian community.
Wow, Mark, that is so empowering. I'm so encouraging this morning. I'm thinking about those 50 churches who you're looking after and thinking we've been talking a lot about how it's really important to activate Christians to action. And oftentimes there can be a lot of sitting in a pew, but it's actually challenging for people to know what to do, what that step is. Hey, we can see great need, and sometimes it just seems too great. What sorts of things and tools do you give the churches to use in their local communities?
Yeah, thank you, Phil, for asking that. So what we're offering actually is a 2-year learning journey. So we've got some theories and some practices that we think that we can share with the church. And we're talking about working with the church in an ecumenical sort of manner. So not just Baptist churches, that we can share with the church to be able to learn how to understand the way that I describe it is be with the stranger, so be with somebody that may not feel that they could fit within my social class space, to be with the stranger, to develop a sense of belonging so that people can come to believe and hopefully out of that be transformed. Wow. Now, the underpinning of that is what is known as asset-based community development. So we use a community development framework to support churches to develop a true sense of community with people living in poverty. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because many churches want to form relationships with people living in poverty, experiencing homelessness and struggle. They want to form relationships with them, which is great, in the hope that out of forming relationships, people will come to a faith in Jesus and learn that they can be and bring the good news to others in their social space. So that's all good. But they're really struggling, this is the feedback that I'm receiving, they're really struggling to truly learn how to form community, true community for people in that space. And they're delivering a great, often community meal. So a lot of this work centres around a community meal. They're good at delivering a community meal. They're good at providing benevolence and charity to people, but they're really struggling to learn how to build a discipling culture within those spaces. Right. And they're really struggling to learn how to empower people to build their own interdependent community where people are learning that they've got their own strengths that they can use for their own benefit, but also for the benefit of others.
So let me just jump in there, Mark, because I just love the work you do. And, you know, I'll just, full disclosure, you've been coaching me and our charity for the last couple of years. So I've been the beneficiary of all this amazing wisdom that you guys have developed from your outreach. But just to paint a picture, Phil, just so that you know and everyone listening. Yeah. So I've visited Mark's group in Rosebud in Victoria and they served up a great meal. They all sat around the tables, and then at the end of it, they kind of formed a big circle. So it wasn't a preacher up the front telling them what to do.
Right.
It was everyone in the circle together. Yeah. And then someone got up and did a song. And, it mightn't have been the best song in the world, but, they believe in participation over polish. Wonderful. It doesn't have to be the best song ever. Everyone gets to have a go,
that's great.
And then someone shared that they're having a problem. So everyone gathered around and laid hands on them and prayed for them,
Wow.
And then they gave them a prophetic word or something, And then someone else had a testimony of something that happened and they got up and shared it, And it was like everyone was empowered to connect with one another,
Yeah.
And they do this Discovery Bible method and, all this great stuff. But that's really the heart of it, Mark, isn't it? That it's not just, hey, we're the amazing Christians that are feeding you and you need to get saved. It's, hey, let's build a community together. Let's do life together and really have a strong foundation of love between each other. That's really your heart, isn't it, mate?
Absolutely spot on, Matt. I couldn't have said it better.
He's well trained by the sounds of it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't have said it better. And that's exactly right, mate. So what we're trying to help churches understand, and all churches that I come into contact with and into relationship with, all of them have got a heart to do good stuff, to make real authentic relationships with people living in poverty, okay? So there's no doubt about that. But what they're really struggling with, by and large, is this sort of sense that maybe the middle-class church are coming in, they're not necessarily meaning this, but coming in as experts in people's lives. And then, sure, they've got life experience and wisdom to share with people, there's no doubt about that. But they're really struggling to empower people to take ownership. You used one of my phrases, mate, participation over polish. So to maximise the potential for people to participate in what's going on. So, and there's a theory to that. Participation leads to ownership. Ownership leads to a sense of purpose, and purpose leads to an empowered participant. So what we want to do is we want to shift away from people being dependent upon the mainstream middle-class church for their development, their growth and their sense of worth and value. We want to shift away from that, and we want to place the power, if you like, in the hands of those that are the least empowered in our community to take ownership of their social space. And so, Matt, you're spot on. What you saw was people that are experiencing homelessness praying for their social peers, praying for people who are experiencing homelessness. They learned that the mission of God can be placed in their hands. They've learned that they can be the good news and bring the good news to their social peers. Yeah. And so in my community at Rosebud, Matt, and you saw it, what we see is people who are experiencing homelessness leading other people experiencing homelessness to a faith in Jesus Christ. We see the same people then saying, you should come to my church, which is a community meal. You should come to my church because they'll love you there. They won't judge you. So that's what being and bringing the good news to others in their social space looks like. And all we've done really is share tools with the church nationwide, but use these tools in my local community in Rosebud to see the growth and the development, the expression and the extension of the kingdom of God in the hands of the least powerful in our community.
Yeah, it's fantastic, mate. So good to hear what you guys are doing with empowered faith communities. And, Phil, one of the cool things about Mark is that, yes, he coaches 50 churches, he runs his own outreach in Rosebud, but a bit of his testimony is pretty cool because he was actually you were actually homeless, Mark, when you were about 16. You were living in a cave in Nowra. Is that right? Is that where you were?
Yes, mate. You've got a very good memory. So, yes, that's right. So, as a youngster, I grew up in a family context of family violence, which led to my homelessness. And, yes, I was living in a tent in a cave in a township called Nowra, which, and it's quite ironic because in Nowra we've got an empowered faith community that's happening there. So, in my worst of circumstances, out of that we can still see God do something amazing and something incredible. So that's right, mate. So I've had that homelessness journey myself, but God's been really kind and gracious to me, mate, and taken me on a journey beyond where I could imagine I could even be.
Fantastic, mate. Such a great testimony of, your mess has become your message. Your tests have become your testimony. Oh, I'm preaching now. Anyway.
I've got two preachers on the line.
So, Mark, if people want to find out more, they can search up Empowered Faith Communities. You've got a website. People can search you up and they can actually talk to you about whether their church or their community might want to start an Empowered Faith Community. That's part of what you're all about, hey?
Oh, yes, we'd love that, mate. And so what we're able to do, thank you, Matt, what we're able to do is we're able to bring people along on this sponsored learning journey. It's a 2-year journey. It involves 3 workshops and some coaching sessions, which you've been a part of yourself. And there's no cost to that. So we're in a very fortunate position that we're able to offer that training and that support without any significant cost to the church. Now, Matt, just as we finish up, Matt and Fel, just 1 or 2 very important points that I think churches need to hear about this ministry. So we've just started to collect data for the first time, Matt and Fel.
Yeah.
We took our first snapshot of our data and impact last year, and we've just taken our first 6 months for this year. And what our data is telling us is that in these Empowered Faith Communities, on average, we've got about 35 people attending. What we're seeing is about a third of those people are using their gifts and their talents to benefit themselves and support others. But importantly, very importantly, what we're seeing is that in terms of first-time faith commitments to follow Jesus Christ, we're seeing double the rate of first-time faith commitments in Empowered Faith Communities comparative to the mainstream church in Australia. Now, I'm not sharing that as a bragging point or with any pride. What I am saying is I'm sharing that to say that, in fact, there's a harvest field here where there's a hunger for God, and what we're seeing is the movement of the Spirit in the hands of the least of these in our community, which is quite amazing.
Fantastic, mate. You're bringing tears to my eyes hearing those statistics, because I've been on the journey with you and we've seen it. We've seen many come to Christ, and it's such a great ministry. Hey, mate, we do have to go, but once again, if people want to search it up,
it's
the website,
efc.org.au.
They can find Empowered Faith Communities. God bless you, Mark. Thanks for your time, mate.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Val. God bless you.
God bless.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.